There are some things in life that I just know not to do. For example, I know not to listen to dubstep. I know not to believe that guy at the mall is Santa, no matter how much he wants me to sit on his lap. And today, I have a new one burned into my tender little brain. I know not to take a standalone Rancher installation and crowbar it into being HA. Last year I migrated from Rancher 1.6 to Rancher 2, and at the same time I moved from Cattle to Kubernetes and from AWS to DigitalOcean. I like DigitalOcean a lot because their hosted Kubernetes service is reliable, and their droplets are way cheaper than AWS instances. If any of you are interested in checking them out, I'll drop a link in the description that you can use to get $50 in credit if you sign up. Despite them being less expensive, I don't want to pay for 3 nodes for Rancher, so I went with a standalone Docker container. Now, fast forward a few months, and the word on the street is that it makes more sense to run a single node RKE install for non-HA deployments, because if you want to move it to HA, you just have to add 2 more nodes and run RKE up. That's way better than recreating all your Rancher configuration from scratch. So, that's great for new installations, but what about existing ones? Well, back in January, Chris Kim from Rancher wrote an article on the Rancher blog that showed how to take a standalone install, back it up, and restore it into a single node RKE install. The article kind of caused some people in Rancher to freak out because this is totally unsupported. I mean, totally unsupported. Like if you do it and something breaks, you're totally on your own, like when Michael Jackson made Thriller. No QRF is coming to bail you out. Let me tell you, right now, do not do this. When I made my video about doing standalone Rancher installations, I wanted to show how to do the migration, but I discovered that the blog article covers Rancher 2.1, and the restore process is different in Rancher 2.2. My DigitalOcean installation was still Rancher 2.1.6. Time to get nasty. It's pretty easy. Make a tarball of the certificates and the etcd content from the standalone container. These will be the same output as what we would get from an etcd snapshot save command to RKE, so we can use them to rebuild an RKE cluster and then install Rancher into it. Doesn't sound so hard. The first thing that the blog says is to make absolutely sure that the server URL is set to a host name and not an IP. Now, I straight up ignored that step because I would never set it to an IP. Nope, not even gonna check. Moving on. Next, we want to make the backup. This isn't the etcd snapshot. This is the actual backup of the persistent data so that if all of this goes right off the edge of a cliff, we can recover. Because of how I launch standalone containers, that's easy. Stop the container, copy opt_rancher to opt_rancher.back, and then start the container again. That took a surprisingly long time, so while it was chugging along, I went off and launched a new droplet to be the new Rancher server. An AWS large instance on demand will cost you something like $70 a month. It only has 2 CPUs and 8 GB of RAM, and you still have to pay for storage. A DigitalOcean droplet with 4 CPUs, 8 GB of RAM, and 160 GB of SSD storage is $40 a month. $40! You can't go wrong. With the backup done, I restart the container, shell into it, tar up etc Kubernetes SSL into pki.bundle.tar.gz, exit the container, and then copy that from the container into a staging directory. The next step is slick. I launch a container with RKE tools in it, giving me access to the etcd tools to make a snapshot. This container is bound to the same network interface as the Rancher server container, so when I run etcd-ctl snapshot save, it makes a dump from the local address. This is written out to a volume that I mounted from the host, so when I exit, I have a full dump of the data store. The rest of the steps are just me using the backup to build a new cluster. This part's boring, so I'll skip through it, and you can see it in any of my other videos about backup and restore. Alright, everything's installed, quick refresh, and woohoo! No? Okay, hang on. Woohoo? No woohoo for you. The cluster won't connect. Now, this is the part where I gotta tell you a secret. It's actually the second time that I did this. So you see that address that it's using for the cattle server? The one that looks like an IP address? Yeah. I went back and restored from the backup, thank God for backups, and then I changed the server URL setting and waited for the cluster to reconnect and look all good and stuff. Apparently, I didn't wait long enough. But I mean, come on, it's just Kubernetes, right? How hard can it be? So I edit the deployment, I change the cattle server to the correct URL, I edit the daemon set, I do the same thing, and woohoo? Oh, great. Some API path doesn't look like an X509 certificate. I changed from self-signed certificates to Let's Encrypt certificates, so Rancher is looking for things in all the wrong places. In this case, it's the cattle CA checksum environment variable, so let's just whack that too. Okay, now do I get to woohoo? Oh, so frustrating. Now there's a new error as it's connected to, wait, hold on, what? It's still connecting to the private IP, but now it's a WebSocket connection? Yo, that thing isn't anywhere in the config, at least not anywhere that I could find after 3 hours, 2 installs, and lots of swearing. Okay, actually, not that much swearing. I suffer like this for your enjoyment. So I went digging into the deepest, darkest corners of the internet that I could find, and I ended up on the Rancher forum. I'm just kidding. The Rancher forum is actually quite nice and clean, albeit a little bit lonely. You guys should come visit it sometime. I found a post there where someone reported that the server URL didn't propagate after an update. And attached to that post, I found a reference to a gist with a set of scripts written by none other than Rancher's own superhero of support, Sebastian. Those scripts extract the credentials from one server, create a bunch of YAML to load into a new server when, of all things, the server URL changes. So I run that, get some YAML, apply this, delete that, delete this, sacrifice a Windows laptop to the gods of Kubernetes, and woohoo! Look, I've got skills, but it wasn't skill that pulled this off. This was luck. This was me standing on the shoulders of people who've come before me, those who've run into problems like this before and were kind enough to document how they overcame those problems. So to those people, I say, thank you. And to the rest of you, I say, do not go out and do this. Just don't. I make videos like this to help people like you use technology to live a better life, even if that means you have to strong arm it into submission and bend it to your will. Always have an escape plan and don't do anything stupid, or do stupid things but have an escape plan, just however you want to look at it. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button wherever it is. I post new content every week, and if there's anything you'd like to see, you can let me know in the comments below or on Twitter. You can follow me there or on Instagram, where I post photos of my dope farm here in Chile. Ooh. Okay, it's not a farm where I grow dope. It's a farm that is dope, like, okay, let me just try that again. Where I post photos of my really cool farm that I live on here in Chile with lots of wild creatures that live on it and around it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I do not have a dope farm, I swear to God. No dope here. South America, no dope. That's Colombia. This is Chile, no dope. Bye.